So many of us are products of a family member that immigrated here to the United States. And today I want to share my story because I am an immigrant of an amazing, amazing woman that shaped the way for me in many ways in who I am today. And may she rest in peace to my grandmother, Mary Moses. Today is an episode about her and her greatness and what she means to me and what she has poured into me and the people before me in order for me to be who I am today. So, today, none other than Mary Moses is the topic, and that is her being an immigrant born in the on the island of Grenada, eventually moving to Trinidad and Tobago, and which she had my mom. And then from a previous episode, I wanted to make a correction. She left from there to the Virgin Islands on the island of St. Croix, which I was born there, and then moved to the United States. And so here I am at the tender age of 44. That is a correction as well, because the last episode I said I was 43, and I don't know how I keep forgetting that I am actually 44 years old and I've been on this earth 44 beautiful years. So, anyway, with all that being said, my granny, which was the matriarch of my family, um, and shaped us in so many ways. And still to this day, we still hold on to a lot of things that we learned from her. But her decision to come here to the United States was major for my family and the things that we were able to accomplish and still accomplishing today. And so she lived here, she moved here. Most people somehow get to New York first. I don't know what's the real reason behind that, because that's like a big melting pot. But here in Louisiana is where she settled, and we kind of lived in. We lived in. I was 9 months old when they came here, and so it was her and her children. My grandmother had 5 children. Um, Let me see, 3 girls, 2 boys, and so she came with her children. Not eventually, I believe the story is, and I have to verify the details behind it, but she came and then she went back and got some of the children and came here. And so we lived in Terrytown. Right now it's like townhouses that are rented out. A lot of most of them are rented out. I don't really think that they're actually homeowners that actually live in those townhouses at the corner of Holmes and Berman Highway. And so we lived there until she purchased her house, and which is now Lincolnshire subdivision. Well, it was Lincolnshire subdivision. She purchased the model home. And so anybody that knows the West Bank and knows the Lincolnshire subdivision, um you know that that at one point the food stamp office was right across the street, and then eventually I think it was like the commodity office. I don't know. And then now it's the Head Start. They tore down that building and they built a brand new Head Start that's there. And so my grandmother sat on the corner, the very first house in the subdivision, an immigrant from a whole nother country to come here and to be able to fulfill, I guess, that American dream, which at one point I'll have to give you my take on that. But yeah, she purchased a house and all of us lived in that one house. So my granny, my mom, my auntie Deanne, my auntie Charlene, my uncle Michael, my uncle Lincoln, we all lived in that house. And at one point, my great uncle and his wife and their children lived there for a short period of time too. But it was a stepping stone for us to be for my parents, my mom, my aunts and uncles to be able to pool our money and be able to branch out, because each one of those children eventually bought a house. I'm not sure about my uncle Michael because he moved back to Trinidad, but every one of her children, my grandmother's children, was able to branch out and purchase their own home and become homeowners. And so we saw that. It could have been different, being that she came into the United States not with the knowledge, not with the education and the background and money, definitely not with the money. And she could have, just lived on the system and then just rode the system. And but she didn't. We, like I said, the role that she played in purchasing that home gave motivation for each one of her children to be able to do better. And my granny, she worked she worked at the time picayune, cleaning the bath, cleaning the building after hours. And she also worked as a home health care nurse, and so she would go and sit with um rich individuals. And so I'll never forget in Timberlane subdivision, she worked. Well, it was two different instances. I remember Miss Betsy. I don't know where this lady's family is. I just know Miss Betsy was one of her favorites, or she was Miss Betsy's favorite. And I remember going to work with her and Miss Betsy. She actually and shout out to all the animal lovers, but I thought this was the craziest thing in my life, and to this day I still remember this. But I'll never forget Miss Betsy sitting at the table, and she was eating her food my granny had prepared for her, and she actually was eating, and then she took that same spoon and fed the dog with the same for a spoon with whatever the food was. I don't even remember what it was. I just remember it was like, oh my God. But my granny just, they had their vibe, but she loved, these people loved her, and she loved these people and they cared for her. So she worked that. She worked in the home health care system, like, taking care of people until they transition. And then ultimately, and also working, cleaning the time picayune building, and I believe it's on Birmingham Highway, not Birmingham Highway, Belchase Highway in Gretna. And so she did that, and that was her for her to be able to afford, to be able to afford the house. And of course, all the siblings, that my her children and their children lived in the house, which contributed as well. But that within itself taught me sacrifice, because at the end of the day, right now, the way how my family is spread out right now to this day, and I think it's more just in a lot of families, is that you grow up, you get older, you move out, you have your own, and everybody has their own space, everybody's doing their own thing. But that sacrifice having us all together, it's like we had to learn how to um time management, now that I'm thinking about it, because you think about it, it was three bathrooms. It was one, two, four bedrooms and three bathrooms. And so, but it was like 13 plus people there at any given time. And so you had to use time management in regards to who's going to use bathroom, who's going to take a shower. Okay, granny, shout out to my granny. She cooked every day for everybody. Every day, my granny cooked and made a meal for every one of us. And even when we transitioned out of there into our own, my aunt bought her house, my mom bought her house, my other aunt bought her house, my uncle, they moved, they ended up moving to California. But even when we all were there, and even when we transitioned out of there into our own houses, we would still go to Granny's house every day and eat. Granny still prepared food for everybody. So everybody would go to Granny's house after school, eat, and then when my mom got off of work, or my aunt got, guess what, back home, and every day we still ate. Granny still prepared food for everybody. The crazy part about it is, when I became an adult, I didn't know how to cook. I had no idea because nobody taught me. Like she would make us like to like peel the shrimp. Like my job was to peel and devein the shrimp, which I'm fine with it now. But at one point I was like, oh my God, I had to make the tea or lemonade. There's certain things that each one of us had things to do, but it was like the actual teaching of how to cook, we didn't learn it. So all that good island food, all the roti and the curry chicken and all those kind of good things. My mom knows how to. My aunt knows how to. Yeah, they do. But the grandchildren, we didn't get to learn that, unfortunately. So, although I know the good food and the good taste and all that kind of stuff, I never learned it. But Granny, like I said, she ended up making sure that we were all taken care of. And to this day, I thought about it yesterday. I'm like, I literally, my kids are 14 and well, the oldest two are grown, but I did it for them. And then so like the 14 and 9-year old, I still fix their plate and put it in front of them every day. It's it's a little bit to the point to where I'm handicapping them, which I have to fix that. But I still, and I know that is my island background. That is something that you see the woman of the household preparing and taking care of others. And so this is kind of like an aha moment for me because I just that it's just a light bulb clicked in. And it's like this is where you get it from, girly. Yeah, but you have to set boundaries at some point in your life. So anyway, Granny set the example of working hard and sacrificing so that we could my mom and aunts and uncles can have a stepping stone for them to be able to have a stepping stone for us, and so that the generational wealth continues. And so um I purchased my first house at 22. I think my sister purchased her first house at 21. I have another sister. I can't remember how old one of them were when she purchased house. All that to say, the cycle has continued. And so it started with the little sacrifice of that little 5 foot. I'm 5'2", 5'3", depending on the day, depending on the shoe. And Granny she might have been like 5'1", 5'2", but that little lady sacrificed to be able to make sure that we had and then the togetherness of all of us being in one house. We prayed together. We had church. Oh my god, church was intense all day on Saturday. I mean Sunday, all day, all day, all day. And then Bible study and everything. And Granny would have us to go outside and she had beautiful gardens. And if you know anybody, if you go out drive around and see anybody's yard just full of flowers or full of plants, so then you're like, why is this so much? I can guarantee you they have some kind of island root or some kind of Hispanic root or something in the background because they just love the tropical feel. And so Granny would have us to go out there and pick we call it the bushes or whatever, and she would make these beautiful flower arrangements just from the stuff in her yard. We learned like cleaning her little brass goblets and stuff, but with brasso, and just the togetherness of being in one place and piggybacking off of each other. And I don't remember necessarily having like sibling rivalry in that house. I had sibling rivalry, but it wasn't in my granny's house. It was at my mom's house when we moved. But as far as like we were together and we worked together, and it's like, okay, you have the babysitter, like, okay, this one doesn't get off of work until this time, but this person is at home and this person can help with the homework. My auntie Charlene was very instrumental in my life in regards to like fundamental things or whatever. It's like the aunt is almost like your best friend and mom wrapped in one when you're younger, because you can't, certain things you can't tell your mom, but you can tell your aunt because she's going to understand. And so Monty Dan, she just, oh my gosh, Monty Dan, she was like poker face, stern about her business and just no BS. And so um and growing up, I thought she was mean. But then I realized as I got older, she's not. She just has a tough exterior, and life brings that. But also, I realized that at the end of the day, it's like that sometimes that's strength, you know? And I have that. I have that. so strongly in regards to like my tough exterior, but just a softy on the inside. But that is a praying woman. Listen, if I ever needed prayer, if I ever needed encouragement, I know that I could go to her. My mom, she worked. That's where I get my work ethic from. She worked 2 and 3 jobs. This woman will work at. She always worked in the accounting department at a casino. So Bally's Casino, um oh my gosh, I don't want to say that. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on it. The Valleys, she worked at Boomtown when they first opened, and so she would do that. That was her 9 to 5. And then in the evening, she either worked at Service Merchandise or she worked at Macy's. Like evening, she would always have 2 and 3 something to make ends meet. But that taught me my work ethic in order to make sure that, look, you want things, you have to work for it. In order to keep the roof over your head, you got to do what you got to do. You got to pivot. You got to make sure, okay, this is not this seasonal time. It's Christmas time and they hiring extra hours for Christmas. Let me go jump on and get these hours for Christmas because I know my kids need this, that, and the other. And so, I mean, now I don't work as hard because there's different ways. They did what they could to with what they had in order to make it work, in order for me to now, me and my cousins, my sisters, to be able to say, okay, I do have the work ethic, but I'm gonna take this education that I got and take it to another level, and where you don't have to work so hard. um um but I will say this, that in all of the sacrifice that my granny made, that my mom made, my aunts made, uncles made, all of the sacrifices that they made, I wish that they, which my mom is getting it. She's getting it. It took me a while to get her to get it. But if they see this episode, and I hope that they do, I just wish that they would take the time to enjoy it, because hard work doesn't mean you don't get to enjoy. You just work hard to sacrifice for others. And what I would like for them to get out of it is that, yes, you work hard and you did what you had to do and you did the doggone thing, and we are all great because of you. But I wish that you would just stop and enjoy the fruits of your labor. So that message is for all of you, that if you watch this episode, I want you to understand that at the end of the day, you work hard, so you play hard. And guess what? Y'all did a good job. We got it. We got it. We're thriving over here. So anyway, with all of that said, the matriarch of our family, she has transitioned, and may she rest in peace. And it makes me, I smile. I don't even get in a place of like grief or sorrow when it comes to my granny, because I know for a fact that my granny she lived, she loved, she worked hard, she instilled greatness in us. And her legacy is living on and forever will live on. And we're going to make the best of it. We're going to make sure that Mary Moses's name lives on forever, and her legacy gets passed on through generation to generation to generation. So if you're an immigrant parent, a child of an immigrant parent, let me know. Let me know. Send a heart. Send up a pink heart. Send me a pink heart, because that was my granny's favorite color. And so, like I said, at the end of the day, the road may have been narrow for her to be able to make the transition here, but it spread wide because of her love and her sacrifice. And so I'll forever, forever, ever, ever be grateful to my granny, Mary Moses. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to y'all soon.